Hello everyone, Tassif here, back with another live stream. Thank you for joining. It's a Friday night, so I appreciate you all being here. I see a couple people are here. There'll be more hopefully soon, and I already see in the live chat window there is a comment, and I'm going to read it. Focus and keep it on the policies is here. Hello, Focus. Thank you for being here. I see your comment. Let me read it here. Okay. You're writing that Dollar Tree will be increasing prices in June. And you're also writing that the inflation is getting out of control. That is absolutely right. The inflation is getting out of control. And I talk about this all the time. And even when I'm not talking about it, I think about it. Every time I go to the store, whether to buy produce, whether to buy packaged goods, whether to buy hardware, or whether to purchase gas, I I I think about inflation all the time because I can see the price tags. I can tell the difference between the prices now and the prices when Donald Trump was in office. And, sometimes I feel like, am I the only one talking about this and worrying about this all the time? But I know I'm not the only one because Focus is writing here that the inflation is getting out of control. Exactly. And I know other people see it, other people feel it, other people suffer because of it. Maybe not everyone talks about it. Not everyone's vocal, not everyone's complaining about it. They absorb the effects of the inflation. They don't eat as much as before. They're repairing their old clothes rather than buying new clothes. They're driving less because gas price is so high. They're looking for ways to save money. People are suffering, but not everyone talks about it. A lot of people suffer in silence. But we have to be vocal. We have to talk about it. And so Focus, thank you for writing what you just wrote in the chat window. And Terry, my friend Terry is here from South Dakota. Terry, welcome. Thank you for being here. And Terry is writing that I think people aren't complaining because we are tired. Well, Terry, that's the liberal strategy. The liberals have inflicted inflation on this economy. We are suffering because of the liberal policies that resulted in inflation. And the liberals think that the American people are going to be sick and tired, and at one point we'll stop talking about it. Well, that's not going to happen with me. I'm not going to stop talking about it. I was talking to somebody at the I think it was at the gas station sometime in the last few days, and I said, well, gas price is so high again. I think that date was $3.3 per gallon. I said, gas price is so high. It never went down to the level where it was in 2019. It never went down to that level. And so is this the new normal? Is $3 and $3.30 instead of $2 and $2.20? I always think that gas price should be, for me, if you ask me what the normal price level is for where I live here in Madison, Wisconsin, I think it should be $2. I mean, I've seen gas prices less than $2. It may, if it's $2, $2.10, 20 cents, that's fine. Maybe because of some, price variations, whatever happens, things happening in the economy, if it goes up to 2.4, it's okay for a little while. But I want gas price to be somewhere around $2 or $2.20. And now it seems like it hovers around $3 on a good day, and it's over $3, way over $3, $3.30, most of the time. And so are we like, are people settling for a new normal, and the new normal being an abnormal level, abnormal gas price level? And so the liberals probably want us to be tired because they created inflation, and they want us to be tired, and so tired that we stop talking about it. But that's not going to happen on this channel, because on this channel, I will keep talking about it. I will keep saying that people are suffering, because people are. I voice my concerns, and I voice the concerns of all those who are not, who are suffering in silence, who are not, you know, who are not speaking as loudly as I am. Okay? And so, I'll keep talking about it. And so, Focus, thank you for bringing that to our attention. And I have some other things I want to talk about, but obviously what you mentioned is a very important point. When you see Dollar Tree increasing prices, then inflation's really bad, right? Because that's the business where you go to find affordable stuff. And it's just sad how much people are suffering. So Terry writes, it's the calm before the election storm. I am hoping that in November 2024, the American people, the freedom-loving American people who are suffering right now, they will go to the ballot booth, they'll go to the voting booth, and they'll cast their ballot for freedom. Cast your ballot for freedom. Choose your candidates, but remember, it's freedom that you're voting for. And who's going to protect your freedom? Donald Trump. And of course, depending on where you live, you have to pay attention to who the other conservative, freedom-loving candidates are in your area. My friends, give me 1 second. I'm going to have to change a wire here. Okay. Yeah, I was charging one device, and I just saw that my laptop's running out of battery, so I just have to plug it in. Anyway, my friends, as Terry writes, it's the calm before the election storm. I am hoping and praying that the freedom-loving Americans cast their ballot for Donald Trump. And when you're looking at the Senate races, the House races, the state assembly, state Senate races, vote for those candidates who will uphold freedom, who will prioritize freedom, who will protect our rights. It's important, my friends. And so I'm going to get into the discussion. I have a few things I want to talk about, but obviously feel free to share your thoughts and comments, ask questions. If you want to bring up some other topic, please do so. Feel free. I mean, this is a conversation that we're having. So please stay connected and don't leave. I have important things to discuss, and participate in the chat window. All right. My friends, police officer Jonathan Diller was killed in New York. A precious life is lost. NYPD officer Jonathan Diller, now dead. And this happened as widespread crimes continue to hurt New York. What's really shocking is that repeat offenders continue to hurt Americans. These repeat offenders are stealing Americans' properties. They are causing havoc in American cities, and they are causing bodily injury and harm to innocent Americans. The repeat offenders. A repeat offender has been arrested after NYPD officer Jonathan Diller was killed. This individual who was arrested reportedly was previously arrested many times. So this is an example of a repeat offender. And now this guy has been arrested and charged with first-degree murder of a police officer. Officer Jonathan Diller was shot and killed. This happened during a traffic stop in Queens, New York. And this young officer, 31 years old, leaves behind a wife and a baby boy. A baby boy has lost the father. This is extremely tragic. This is painful. A precious life lost. A brave officer, now deceased. It's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking what's happening in New York, a city run by left-wing politicians, a state run by left-wing politicians. So Governor Kathy Hochul of New York was seen arriving at the wake for slain NYPD officer Jonathan Diller at a funeral home in Long Island. And reportedly, the governor was there for 10 to 15 minutes. That's according to reports. 10 to 15 minutes she was there. And she was seen speaking with a man. This was caught on video. I'm sure some of you have seen this video clip. It's widely available on the internet. People are commenting on it. There are news reports on this video that was captured. And it shows Governor Hochul speaking with a man speaking with Governor Hochul. And that individual, I don't know who it was, seemed to be upset. I don't know what the conversation was, but the man who was speaking to Governor Hochul seemed to be upset. And then she was seen walking towards the vehicle. So the governor was then seen leaving the location. And people clapped as she left. People clapped as she left. And here's what people believe happened. There was a tense moment. The man who was speaking with Governor Kathy Hochul, I'm not sure what the conversation was, but reportedly, the members of the law enforcement community are not happy with Governor Hochul. And they're not happy about the progressive policies of the left. Progressive policies result in repeat offenders being back on the streets, which make our communities unsafe. So Governor Hochul, if you ask me, Governor Hochul, she's a failure. Governor Hochul is a failure. As a governor, she's a failure. There's no way to hide it. It's obvious to the public. It's obvious that she's a failure. And so people understand that Governor Kathy Hochul is not doing her job properly. She's not. She's not prioritizing the New Yorkers. The New Yorkers are not her priority. And we know that she's an advocate, and she advocates for spending billions of taxpayer dollars on the migrants. This is what she does as a governor, as the governor of New York. Everyone knows New York. New York is known all over the world. A beautiful state, a great state once upon a time, on the verge of destruction because of far left politicians and their policies. And so this governor, she's not focusing on the American people. She's not focusing on the needs of the American people. She is not prioritizing the law enforcement community. She is not paying attention to the freedom-loving Americans in her state. She's focusing on the migrants. And the liberals, they craft policies that result in repeat offenders being back on the streets, out of jail and back on the streets, arrested, in jail, and then once again out on the streets. And they get arrested, and then again out on the street. This goes on and on and on. Individuals can be arrested dozens of times and still be back on the streets. And now there's a police officer who's dead, shot and killed, and a repeat offender has been arrested after Officer Jonathan Diller was killed. And this individual has a long history. This individual who was arrested has a long history of previous arrests. This is an example of a repeat offender. A young woman is now a widow. A baby boy is now without father. And the father, a brave police officer, now dead. It's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. And the law enforcement community is very upset. I actually don't have words to describe how the law enforcement community is feeling right now in New York. Okay? And, they lost the NYPD officers, they lost one of their brothers. Okay? Officer Jonathan Diller, now dead. And so how did we get to this point? How did we get to this point that repeat offenders keep going back out on the streets? And we clearly see how unsafe New York has become. And so obviously, Governor Hochul is a failed governor. No wonder people are upset. People are very upset. And so politicians like Kathy Hochul, they have their talking points, but their actions really show that they don't care. People like Kathy Hochul and her liberal allies, they don't care about the needs and priorities of the American people. As a governor, she's a failure, and the fact that people clapped as she walked towards her vehicle and was leaving the wake, that shows how much people dislike her as a governor. And it's not about the governor's personality. It's not about Kathy Hochul's personality. It's about her actions. It's about what she does as a governor. It's about what priorities she has as a governor. It's about, the different steps that she's taking as a governor. How is she using her power? How is she using her authority? Is she working for the American people? Or is she working to help foreign nationals who entered our country illegally? Is she truly supporting, through her actions, is she truly supporting the men and women of law enforcement? Is she doing anything to make communities safe? Is she doing anything to make sure that repeat offenders don't find their way back on the streets? How she continues to fail to protect the American people, we can see that. Why do repeat offenders get released and they cause more harm and more damage in society? What has Governor Kathy Hochul done to make sure that repeat offenders are not released from jail? Let me pause and look at the live chat window. My friends, I want to say once again, as you are joining, please participate in the live chat window and write your thoughts, write your comments, ask questions. Terry is writing Hochul and Alvin Briggs. Terry is writing about Kathy Hochul and Alvin Bragg, right? Is that who you're referring to? I think it's Alvin Bragg, right? But I understand, Terry, who you're talking about. The Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg. I'm not going to comment on the Manhattan DA. I have lots of comments on the Manhattan DA, but I'm going to not make those comments here because then I'm going to go in a different direction. Then I'll have to talk about Donald Trump's, legal issues in New York and what Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg has done. And that's going to be a whole different live stream. Okay? We can clearly see that these left-wing district attorneys, how they are trying to throw more and more court cases at Trump. But let me tell you, every time a left wing district attorney comes up with some kind of a legal challenge for Trump, that it's just going to make Trump stronger. Okay, more and more people are going to be supporting Trump. No matter how many court cases they throw at Trump, Trump's just going to get stronger and stronger. Because we, the people, we can see what's happening. We can see the truth. We don't have to be legal professionals. We don't have to be legal scholars. We don't have to be legal experts to see what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad. We can see it. We can see it. We can see who's right. We can see who's on the right track. It's Donald Trump. He's fighting for the American people. And there are these district attorneys and other people who are trying to throw court cases and legal challenges at Trump. Not going to work, because we, the people, we support Donald Trump. And so that's all I'll say about this Manhattan DA. Anyway, so my friends, let's continue to pray for the family of Jonathan Diller, Officer Diller. Let's pray for the men and women of law enforcement. Our country has lost a great police officer, a brave police officer. A son is now without a father. A wife is now without her husband. Officer Jonathan Diller, now deceased, killed in the line of duty, a brave officer. Let's continue to pray for the family of Jonathan Diller. Let's pray for the men and women of law enforcement. Let's pray for the people of New York who are suffering because of left-wing politicians and their policies. My friends, I want to talk about something else that happened in Denver. I haven't talked about Denver in a while. Just a sip of my English breakfast black tea. And it's Friday night, but I'm going to be up for a while. And I think I'm going to write a letter to the editor tonight. There are a few things I want to write about and just haven't had the time to do so. So right after this live stream, and I'm in no rush. Okay, so if you have things to talk about, we'll just keep the conversation going. But after that, before going to bed, I'm probably going to write about a few issues that are on my mind, mostly local and state issues. All right. So, my friends, as you are joining the live chat, please write something in the live chat window, and I would appreciate that, because I like to have an exchange of information here. So, my friends, let me talk about something that happened in Denver. In Denver, migrants clashed with the city. Migrants clashed with the city of Denver. In Denver, officers helped clear a big migrant encampment. And the idea was that migrants would be taken to shelter, from the encampment to the shelter. But then reportedly, one migrant was not allowed into the shelter. And that's because this one individual has a record, reportedly, this one individual has a record of being aggressive with shelter staff. And so this person was not allowed into the shelter. And that's when the matter escalated. Then a bunch of other migrants also joined this person who was denied entry. And they went and they decided to set up a new encampment. So one encampment was cleared. These folks were taken to the shelter. And there, one individual was denied shelter because previously this individual has acted in an aggressive way with shelter staff. And so this individual was denied entry. And so a bunch of other migrants decided to also not go into the shelter, but to make a new encampment. Okay, and and so then police arrived at the new encampment and told the migrants that they wouldn't be allowed to be there and that they should go back to the shelter. So it seems that the migrants they like to be in camps rather than in shelters. At least that's the conclusion I could draw from this news coming out of Denver. Terry Brait is here. Terry Brait writes, "Hey y'all, Terry Brait, wonderful to see that you're here. Thank you for being here on a Friday night. Uh, we are 25 minutes or so into the live stream, and we're discussing some really important things. So thank you for coming and for staying connected. You're right. Yeah, I'm late. No problem that you're late. No problem. Whatever discussion you missed, you can watch in the replay. And anyway, I just wanted to show. Do you see what my cup says here? It says "Get it done." Okay. It says "Get it done." It's kind of an inspirational cup. And I actually completed. This was a while back. I completed the manuscript, a manuscript. So I have a manuscript that I completed, and every night when I was working on this manuscript, and I kind of felt sleepy, and I thought, well, I can't do it. And I usually set targets that I want to write 2,000 words a day or something like that. And so I was feeling a little sleepy, and I was drinking tea, and every time I thought, well, I should go to bed now, I would be drinking tea from this cup that says "Get it done." So it kept me going. This was like a message that says, you got to get this manuscript done. So get it done, get it done. And so that's what kept me going. And so I enjoy having beverage in this cup. Anyway, let's see the chat window here. Maya Sisters is here. Maya Sisters writes, "Good evening, everyone. Joining late as well. Maya Sisters, not a problem. I'm very happy to see that you're here. Thank you for joining. And we're discussing some important things I talked about earlier in the live chat. First of all, I talked about inflation because that was a question. That was a topic that was brought up by Focus and Keep It on the Policies. I call the viewer Focus in short, but Focus and Keep It on the Policies had a comment and about Dollar Tree raising prices. So I talked about inflation for a few minutes. Then I talked about Officer Jonathan Diller, who's now deceased, a tragic death in New York. I talked about Kathy Hochul, the governor, and now I'm talking about Denver and the migrant crisis in the city of Denver, beautiful city of Denver, but now it's a complete mess. Terry Brait writes, "Discipline for the win." Yes, Terry Brait, you're talking about my cup that ensured discipline, that I fulfill my writing targets every night. Anyway, so in Denver, the police cleared an encampment, migrant encampment, took the migrants to shelter. One migrant was denied entry. As a result, some other migrants also decided that they're not going to be at the shelter. They went and made a new encampment, and then police came and said, you can't be here. So, I mean, this is what's going on in Denver. So it seems that the migrants, they want to be in camps rather than in shelters, and reportedly there's a camping ban in effect in Denver. So the migrants, if they made camps, if they had tents and they made an encampment, that would be in violation of city law. Okay? So the migrants clearly, they're not afraid to protest. I mean, they are here in the United States illegally, okay? These migrants, they are here illegally. And yet, they are not hesitant about protesting. They want to make their voices heard. They want to say, uh, oh, we're not going to be in the shelter. We're going to go and make camps, which is in violation of law. So these individuals, first they broke American immigration laws and they came into the United States, and now they want to have encampments in Denver, which is reportedly in violation of law. So the migrants, they get to voice their concerns. They get to tell the city officials what they want, what they don't want. They are very vocal about their preferences. This is what we want. We're going to do encampments here. I mean, just think about it. And what about the American people? American people, freedom-loving Americans, they have lots of concerns. They have lots of complaints. They have lots of things that they are worried about. But who's listening to the American people? These liberal politicians are not. These liberal politicians are not listening to the American people. But the migrants, they get to voice their opinions. I mean, think about it. I mean, does it surprise you? Does it shock you? I mean, I talked about this before, and I always talk about it. I keep saying, I show you examples after examples after examples, and I keep telling you that these liberal politicians, they're prioritizing the illegal immigrants, and they're not prioritizing American citizens. So the illegal immigrants seem to have more say about what they want, what they don't want. Okay? Remember, I told you that in New York City, a family of four, an American family of four, getting, on SNAP benefits, that family gets a monthly payment of $713, reportedly. A monthly payment of $713. And a migrant family of four gets prepaid debit cards worth $1,400 per month. It's $350 per week, so that's $1,400 per month. So that's the difference. The illegal immigrants, they get more funds than American citizens who are in need. Let's see the chat window here. Okay, let's see. Billy Wiggins is here. Billy, thank you for being here. Good to see that you've joined the chat. Thank you so much, Billy. eRocker78, thank you so much for joining as well. It's wonderful to see more and more people are joining. eRocker78, you're writing that Democrats need the votes from the illegal aliens, and then you have that funny alien image there. What's it called? Emoticon emoji. Anyway, I've talked about this. eRocker78, I've talked about this, that the New York liberals, they are working hard. They are working hard to give voting rights to non-citizens. And I talked about this. I think I did a podcast episode on it. And so, it's like, what are the priorities? That's what you're going to have to ask. And sometimes it seems like I'm repeating the same thing over and over again, but it's because it needs to be repeated, because every day we see a new problem caused by the crisis at the southern border, caused by Joe Biden's administration. That's the source of all problems. The Biden administration, they opened up the border, they let the illegals in, it's still ongoing, and the liberal politicians in different cities and states are enticing these illegals with money, resources, and so many different things. Terry Brett writes, Democrats are working for the globalists. We need to put Americans first. America first policy, my friends. That's what we need. America first. Okay? Um, so eRocker78 writes, yes, it's funny, but it's a real issue and nobody's talking about it. The Democrats, how did they come up with this idea in New York that they are going to have to, pass a law to give non-citizens the right to vote? And thankfully, a court has struck down that law. But now the New York City Council, they are trying to appeal that ruling. They have the energy. They want to fight. Okay? They have the energy. They want to go ahead and fight. They're not going to stop. But who are they fighting for? The Democrats in New York City Council, they are fighting for non-citizens. They are not fighting for the American people. They are not prioritizing the American people. They are prioritizing the non-citizens. Okay? So Billy is writing about amnesty. Billy, talking about amnesty, I have to mention again, and I know I mentioned this before, but now because the topic is relevant and it has come up again, let me just say, in 2022, Chuck Schumer is, Chuck Schumer, back in 2022, he proposed a pathway to citizenship for millions of illegal immigrants. Okay? And that's when I decided, hey, I'm just going to sit with pen and paper. I'm going to write an op-ed. And I wrote an op-ed. It was published by the Western Journal. And I can look it up. I can try to see what the title was. So if you want to search for it, you can. Give me just 1 second, okay? I'm going to look it up here on my phone. 1 second, my friends. But in the meantime, let me just say, as I'm looking for it, why are the Democrats so eager to give citizenship to illegal immigrants? Okay, so here's the title of the op-ed. This was published November 26th of 2022, so right around Thanksgiving. And the title is Reject Democrats' Efforts to Turn Citizenship into Another Handout. Because that's what they want to do. Citizenship has to be earned. And legal immigrants can earn citizenship. You have to work hard for it. But somebody who clearly violated our immigration laws by coming into the United States illegally, that individual already violated our nation's immigration laws. So that's why that individual should never, ever get U.S. citizenship. That individual should never, ever be allowed to stay in the United States. That individual should be deported. Okay? The right thing to do is to deport an illegal immigrant, but Chuck Schumer wants to grant citizenship to illegal immigrants. Once again, they prioritize, these left-wing politicians, they prioritize the illegals. Let's see. So eRocker78, you're writing about elections. Obviously, I mean, what the Democrats are trying to do, they're trying to create new voters. Because granting citizenship to illegal immigrants is basically, it just means as soon as somebody is a citizen, that person gets the right to vote. So what Chuck Schumer is really proposing is he's proposing to give voting rights to illegal immigrants by giving them citizenship, by giving them a pathway to citizenship. Okay? He wants to turn citizenship into a handout. Citizenship is not a handout. It has to be earned. And a person earns it by following American immigration laws and rules. And so, my friends, let's see. Billy writes, someone taught them a new word, asylum. Yeah, I hear that all the time. Asylum seekers, asylum seekers. They are walking across the southern border and entering illegally, and they're claiming asylum. See, this is what the Democrats do. They are very good at finding words, finding language, finding loopholes in law, finding different ways to get what they want. Remember, I told you, you may have missed it. I don't know how, if you've been following my channel, then you've heard me say this before. First, it used to be called an apprehension. Whenever Border Patrol apprehended illegal immigrants, it was called an apprehension. And then the Democrats started calling it an encounter rather than apprehension. It's an encounter, okay? And illegal immigrants are illegal immigrants or illegal aliens, but the Democrats started calling them newcomers, okay? From apprehension to encounter, from illegal alien to newcomers, okay? And so let me just give you another example. Mayor Eric Adams, I talked about this just recently. He proposed that the federal government should distribute the illegal aliens all over the country. So rather than just, because the illegal aliens, they are going all over the country, but clearly they want to be in places where they get free stuff, like New York, Chicago, San Francisco, all these sanctuary places, and also Denver. And so what Eric Adams proposed is a horrible idea. He's saying that the federal government should just spread these illegal immigrants all over the country. And rather than saying spread them out all over the country, he said we need a decompression strategy. What is a decompression strategy? See, this is what they do. The liberals, they come up with words. They're probably sitting with a dictionary, turning pages and finding words that will help them advance their agenda. And the Democrats' agenda is an agenda of chaos and lawlessness. Okay? Eric Adams comes up with this, he uses this term decompression strategy. We need a decompression strategy. It's not a decompression strategy. What he's really advocating for is just spread the illegal immigrants out all over the country. Spread the problem all over the country. Spread the chaos all over the country. That's what he's really advocating for. Let me read some other comments here. One other thing that I need to mention. Billy Wiggins writes, who teaches these politicians these words? I don't know, Billy. That's a very good question. Who's teaching? I mean, are there consultants and advisors behind the scenes who are working on coming up with these terms? Laura Floyd is here. Laura, wonderful to see that you're here. Thank you for joining. And Laura writes, in my city, we're still receiving them and moving them. I drove by the processing center today. Just imagine, Laura, how many multi-billions of dollars are being used to provide services to the migrants. I mean, we can talk about individual cities like New York and Chicago. In Chicago, I think yesterday I talked about a number, 300 million that the city spent. And I think someone pointed out that may actually be a low number because the real number may be much higher than that. So that's just one city. And then you can look at the numbers in New York. You can look at the numbers in Denver. Denver is already looking at a $180 million budget deficit because of all the money they spent on the migrants. And so we can look at these individual communities, these cities, these big cities, but think about how much money nationwide is being spent on these migrants. How many billions and billions and billions of dollars? I mean, add up all those numbers. Every dollar that Every taxpayer dollar that's being spent on the migrants for food, for clothing, for shelter, what is that number? And it's not stopping. I mean, it's ongoing. So it's a bucket with a hole underneath it, which means that the money is flowing. The tax dollars are just flowing out. They're going out of our pockets, and those dollars are being used to pay for a variety of services for the migrants. Let's see. Cat007 writes, our new neighbors. You know, our new neighbors, they're not our new neighbors, okay? They are here illegally. They are not our new neighbors. They are here illegally. They are here. These illegal immigrants are here, and they violated our nation's immigration laws, okay? And if you want to talk about neighbor, let's look at the neighboring country of Mexico, which is, a wonderful, beautiful country. I'm not talking about the population. I'm talking about the leader of Mexico, President Obrador. He is not helping the United States. He's saying that he wants the United States to give $20 billion annually to Latin American and Caribbean countries. He wants the United States to lift sanctions that are currently imposed on Venezuela. He's asking, he wants the United States to lift embargo on Cuba. And he wants illegal immigrants who are Mexican nationals who are here in the US. He wants all those illegal immigrants to be given citizenship. I mean, talking about neighbor, when you look at the neighboring country, that's the leader of the neighboring country. They call him AMLO in short because his name is Andre Manuel Lopez Obrador. I hope I'm getting the name right. President Obrador, for in short. Let's see. I'm missing some comments, I think. Anyway, let's see. Sorry if I miss any comments. I just appreciate everyone for being here. I know my friend Terry is here, and I know Focus is here, and I know Terry Brait is here. I see Maya Sisters. I see eRocker78. I see Billy Wiggins. And then I see Cat007. I see Laura Floyd. Thank you all for being here. Let's see. Yeah, Billy writes, Mexico wants $20 billion to stop them. Yeah, that's what I said. The president of Mexico wants $20 billion from US to be given to Latin American and Caribbean countries. Why should we give $20 billion? That's our money. That's taxpayer dollars. The government, see, I keep saying this, the government doesn't have its own money. Whatever money the government has, that's taxpayer money. And why should we give $20 billion to Latin American countries and Caribbean countries just because the president of Mexico wants us to? No way, okay? And how could he even make that demand? I mean, this guy is trying to dictate our foreign policy. Well, that's because we have a weak president. We have Joe Biden. Because we have a lack of leadership in the White House. That's why the president of Mexico could say something like this. If it was Donald Trump in the White House, I guarantee that the president of Mexico wouldn't say the stuff that he said. He would have never demanded that sanctions be lifted from Venezuela and sanctions be lifted from Cuba and $20 billion be given to Latin American and Caribbean countries. The president of Mexico would never have said that if Donald Trump would have been the president. And that's why we need Donald Trump back in the White House. Let's see. So Billy writes, 2,000 on their way through Mexico right now. Yes, that's what I talked about yesterday. I think I published a video, which, the video was captured when I was sitting in my car. And 2,000 people caravan. There are 2,000 individuals reportedly in a caravan, and the caravan is heading towards El Paso. Okay, I mean, I just want Governor Greg Abbott to be strong. I want the Texas National Guard to be strong. Don't let those people in. Don't let that migrant caravan in. So let me just say, um, Denver. So going back to Denver, these migrants, they want to have encampments in violation of Denver laws. And what about the concerns that the Americans have? It seems like the migrants have, more say. They have a louder voice, it seems, because these migrants can see that the liberal politicians are prioritizing them. So they are taking advantage of the situation. And that's why I have been saying that local elected officials will have to step up and say, hey, you know what? In my village, in my town, in my city, we're not paying a single dime to an illegal immigrant. We're not going to give free housing, free food, free medical services to the migrants. That's what local leaders need to do. That would be a step in the right direction. It's probably not going to solve the whole problem. For that, we need Donald Trump. We need to have a bold leader at the federal level, and that's going to be Trump if we want to fix the problems. Uh, so let's see some comments here. Laura, I see you've got, you put a sad face in the chat window. Yep, I know when you think about this whole situation, it's very sad. It's very sad when you sit and think deeply. It's sad what's going on. And one thing I'll tell you is that the nonprofits, a lot of private nonprofits are giving massive amounts of resources to the migrants, and they need to stop doing that. American nonprofits should not give funding to the illegal immigrants. Because there are many unmet needs in the American population. There are many Americans who are homeless. If there's a room to house somebody, to give temporary shelter to somebody, that shelter should be given to an American homeless person. Maybe to a homeless veteran, somebody who served in the military. Why should nonprofits give housing to illegal immigrants? If you are in America, don't entice the illegal immigrants by giving them services. That's why we need. When I see what's happening in Texas, and I see how hard Governor Abbott is fighting, how he's trying to fight illegal immigration. I mean, I'm proud of his leadership, but you look at Arizona, you look at New Mexico, you look at California, it's an entirely different picture, because those states have Democrat governors. I wish Kristi Noem would have been the governor of one of those states, or somebody like Kristi Noem, somebody like Ron DeSantis. I know my friend Terry is going to be very happy because I mentioned Kristi Noem, and Terry is in South Dakota. So yeah, we have some great governors who are examples of what governors should be like. Greg Abbott, Ron DeSantis, Kristi Noem. These are some great governors, and we need more governors like that. Let's see. Yeah, Terry Brett is writing about the New Mexico governor. The New Mexico governor is probably one of the worst governors. She is one of the worst governors, the governor of New Mexico. Okay, I'm not going to go into details, but she is what a governor should not be like. Michelle Grisham. Okay, just one awful leader. I talked about Kathy Hochul today. I mean, that's another governor who's an absolutely failed governor, Michelle Grisham in New Mexico. And I won't even talk about California. I mean, Gavin Newsom. Oh, that'll be a different. That'll be just. I could do a separate live stream just talking about Gavin Newsom. Okay. I mean, do you want to see Ron DeSantis and Newsom debate again? Can they have another debate? Wouldn't that be nice? Anyway, maybe this time Gavin Newsom should have a debate with Kristi Noem. I think that'd be great. Erocker 78 writes about the drug problem. Yeah, the lack of border security is leading to lots of drugs coming across the border, and it's affecting our public health. It's creating a crisis in our country. Public safety problems, health problems, so many other issues. Let's see some comments here. Yeah, Terry Bright writes, Democrats put more effort into virtue signaling than thinking about the long-term costs and consequences. Exactly. What are the long-term consequences of illegal immigration? One of the long-term consequences is that our property rights will be diminished. This is very scary, okay? But I think you all understand it. The illegal immigrants are coming into the country, and there's already a housing problem. We know that Americans cannot find housing because of low inventory, because of high mortgage rates. And if you decide, high mortgage rates, I'm not going to get a mortgage. Prices of homes are high. Okay, I'm not going to buy a home. Let me just rent. Let me be a renter. Rent is going up. Significantly, rent is going up. And so housing in general is becoming unaffordable. Whether you're a renter, whether you're a homeowner, it's just becoming unaffordable. And let's say you don't rent and you don't have a mortgage because you've paid off your mortgage, you've bought your house with cash, it's all paid off, but you're still going to have to pay property taxes, right? And property taxes are going up. Because what's happening, all these cities, they are spending money on the migrants. And so many cities are looking at budget deficits. And what happens when a city is facing a budget deficit? They raise taxes, they raise fees, or they cut services, or they do both, cut services and raise taxes and fees. And property tax is usually what politicians try to raise. So housing in general is just becoming very, very expensive. To have a roof over your head is becoming very, very expensive in the United States. And so I think one of the long-term consequences of illegal immigration is going to be that housing is going to become just unaffordable. It's going to be out of many people's reach. Okay? We're going to be a poor country if this country continues. There'll be more poor people. And we're going to move away from prosperity and success because of what the liberal politicians are doing. And and I mentioned this, that some migrants are now looking at squatting. They are looking for abandoned homes. They're trying to get into a property and invoke squatters' rights. Okay? And remember, I talked about a migrant from Venezuela who published a video on social media asking other migrants to find abandoned homes and to invoke squatters' rights. Migrants are going to go into people's homes and invoke squatters' rights. And if you want to have them removed, you're going to go have to go to the court, and the court system is already slow in many places. You may have to wait for months or years, and you're going to have to pay legal fees that you shouldn't have to pay because you know those who don't belong in your home, they shouldn't be in your home. Squatters are trespassers, and if squatters enter your home and you are compelled to pay thousands and thousands of dollars in legal fees, that's not fair. That's going to drive people towards poverty. Some squatters, they demand ransom, they demand money, they demand ransom, and if homeowners don't pay ransom, they don't leave, and the homeowners are stuck in a situation where they have to go to the court, wait for months, wait for years, pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in legal fees while the squatter enjoys the home. And so Florida took steps to basically, you know, protect property rights. A bill was signed into law by Governor Ron DeSantis, and that's why I say we need governors like Ron DeSantis and Kristi Noem and Greg Abbott. So, this is one of the long-term consequences. The migrants are going to use squatting as a technique to take over people's homes. I mean, this situation is getting out of control. This situation is getting out of control. I mean, somebody can just get into your home, invoke squatters' rights, and in some cases, the homeowners. I mean, did you see that video of a homeowner being put in handcuffs? I think this happened in New York. The homeowner was put in handcuffs. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Let's see some comments here. eRocker78 is writing about homeless people on streets all over the country, living in tents and broken down RVs. Billy writes, that's the end goal, what you're talking about. Two classes of people, poor and the elites. Yeah, the middle class is vanishing because of liberal policies. What the liberals are doing, if they continue to do this, then there will be no middle class. The middle class is going to be gone. Everyone will become poor, perpetually poor. People will be stuck in such poverty that there's not going to be a way out of the poverty. And that's what's going to happen if people like Joe Biden if he stays in power, if Kathy Hochul stays in power, if Eric Adams continues to run New York City, if Brandon Johnson continues to be in the mayor's office, if people like Gavin Newsom, if they stay in power, in charge of a big beautiful state like California, these liberal politicians are destroying the country, city by city, state by state. And our economy is already going through chaos. And, a lot of people, they are not seeing light at the end of the tunnel. The only light at the end of the tunnel is if Donald Trump wins the presidency. Susan Epp is here. Hello, Susan. Good to see that you're here. Thank you for being here. Susan writes, a lot of squatters in Hawaii. Exactly. Hawaii has a lot of problems. I mean, whenever I talk about California, I always say a beautiful state being destroyed by liberal policies. That's exactly what's happening in Hawaii also. A beautiful state being destroyed by liberal policies. Hawaii has a huge homelessness issue. Why? Let's see some comments here again. Terry Braid writes, I think Florida just changed the laws to protect homeowners against squatters. Exactly, Terry Braid. That's what I was referring to. That Florida took action to protect property rights. Billy writes, everyone forgot about Hawaii. We need to keep talking about Hawaii. The Maui fires and the destruction and what's happening there. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. Maya Sisters writes, thankfully, squatters have limited rights in Wisconsin. It takes decades to claim squatters' rights in Wisconsin. Wisconsin, uh, when you look at the overall state, it's a very good state. And I'm not saying it because I live here. Obviously, I chose this state. I chose to live here because, I thought it would be a good choice. Um, Wisconsin, is doing pretty good in many aspects, but we should never assume that Wisconsin's not going to have the kind of problems that, for example, Illinois has. Because as I told you before, the illegal immigrants are finding their way into Wisconsin. Whitewater, look up Whitewater, Wisconsin. Whitewater is a city in Walworth County that already has a lot of problems because of the influx of illegal immigrants. And there are other communities like Darlington, Wisconsin. Darlington is a small community in Lafayette County, Wisconsin. Okay, both Walworth County and Lafayette County share border with Illinois. Okay, these are the southernmost counties. Okay, you've got Kenosha County, Walworth County, Rock County, Greene County, Lafayette County, Grant County. These are the counties, the southernmost counties in Wisconsin share border with Illinois. And so when resources run out in Illinois, I'm pretty sure that some migrants, I don't know how many, but migrants will find their way into Wisconsin. They already are. And if you just look at Whitewater, you can see what's happening there. And so I'm concerned that as more and more illegal immigrants make their way into New York, into Wisconsin, we're going to have lots of problems here too. We're going to have problems, okay? And that's why I have been urging the local elected officials in Wisconsin and obviously across the country, I would say the same thing. If you are a city council member, if you are a village board member, if you are a town board member, if you are a county board supervisor, make a declaration that your city, your village, your county, your town will not be a sanctuary for illegal immigrants. Just make it clear that your city, your village, your county, your town will not spend taxpayer dollars on the migrants. That's the message that all elected officials at the local level should have. Okay? And obviously at the state level, I think state legislators, governors, conservative freedom loving state legislators should also say the same thing. So this should be the common language that everyone should use. All elected officials at state and local level who oppose illegal immigration, they should all come out and say, we're not going to support spending a single dollar on the illegal immigrants. Okay? Because at the federal level, we see the dysfunction. We see what the Biden administration is doing. The Democrats in Congress, we see what they are doing. They are not prioritizing Americans. They are prioritizing illegal immigrants. So local and state government in communities across the country, they have to take steps to fight illegal immigration. And as we wait for Donald Trump to win his election and to come back to the White House. Let's see some comments here. Susan writes, Gavin Newsom says by the end of the year, California will have a single-payer healthcare like Canada. Is that what he said? I'm going to have to look it up. So thank you, Susan, for sharing that information. Like I said, my friends, there's a lot that I learned from the chat window. Obviously, it's hard to keep track of every piece of information, every piece of news. So thank you for sharing that, Susan. I'm looking it up now, and I'm going to be looking into it. So thank you for sharing that info. Terry Bright writes, I think California already granted healthcare to illegals. Yes, I think I did talk about it maybe a few weeks ago that California illegal. I think they expanded it. Let's see. They expanded Medicaid to include all illegal immigrants residing in the state. That's what happened, I think. Yeah, I see this. Yeah, this is from December. California becomes first state to offer health insurance coverage to all undocumented immigrants, which is basically illegal immigrants, illegal aliens. Okay? So that's the direction that California is taking, which is sad, which doesn't make sense. It's absolutely absurd why California would grant um, because Medicaid is taxpayer dollars, right? It's a public insurance program for Americans in need, and California is granting Medicaid health insurance coverage to all illegal aliens. Unbelievable. Um, so eRocker78 writes, we're going to have to make our own food because it'll be too expensive um, to buy at the store. Yeah, if you have land, which I don't, I live in an apartment, so I don't know what I'm going to do, but if you've got land, if you can grow your own food, that'll be great. And that way you also get fresh food, right? If you just get your food straight from, trees and plants in your backyard, then you're getting fresh food and probably more affordable. Obviously, you're going to have to do a little bit of work to grow the produce, but obviously that's one option because yes, at the store it's becoming unbelievably expensive, unbelievably expensive. Let's see. Terry Brait writes that's already happening. Um, let's see. Let's see. Oh, Billy writes, how long before they overwhelm the hospitals? And Terry Brait is writing, that's already happening. Hospitals going into the red because of having to service the illegals for free. I have talked about this before. This is happening. This is real. In Denver, I think I discussed a case in Denver that, and it's not just a problem in Denver. This is a problem in many other places. The illegal immigrants, they don't have health insurance coverage. So if they have a healthcare problem, if they have a symptom, if they need medication, where do they go? They show up in the emergency department of hospitals, and then American citizens and legal immigrants who have genuine, um, emergency needs, they have to go and wait. They have to go and sit and wait because the waiting room of the emergency department is just flooded with illegal immigrants. And so after that, the illegals, they don't, if you were to guess, if I were to guess, I would guess that they don't pay their bills because they are illegals. They are here illegally. Do you think that after they go to the emergency department to receive services, they are paying the bills? And so who pays the bills? And that's how a lot of hospitals are facing tremendous losses, and they are many of them are on the verge of going out of business. Uh, let's see. Pamela Hernandez is here. Pamela writes, evening, everyone. Thank you, Pamela, for joining. It's wonderful that you're here. And my friend Terry from South Dakota is saying, hi, Pamela. We're all saying hi, Pamela. Pamela, thank you for being here. Susan writes, lots of measles and TB now. Yeah, in Chicago, they have measles outbreak. There's an outbreak at a shelter because the migrants are bringing in contagious illnesses. The migrants are bringing in all these infectious diseases. And remember when the liberal politicians forced people to get the COVID-19 vaccine? They forced people to wear masks. They forced Americans to shut down their businesses. They forced Americans to stay at home and not go to work. And we faced tremendous losses. People lost income. People lost their businesses. So we went through a lot. And now the liberals are allowing illegal immigrants with lots of illnesses to come into the country. And look what's happening in Chicago, measles outbreak. This is what's happening in our country, my friends. It's very sad. So Maya Sisters is writing about Walworth County, um, large immigrant community in Walworth County. Funds are drying up, immigrants moving. Um, Walworth. So anyone who knows Wisconsin, anyone who's here from Wisconsin, has visited Wisconsin, would know how beautiful Walworth County is. I mean, just go to Lake Geneva, one of the most beautiful places in Wisconsin, Lake Geneva. A wonderful lake, amazing lake. I mean, I feel like I can hang out in Lake Geneva every day. It's so beautiful. Great restaurants, great people. But Walworth County is facing challenges. And as more and more illegal immigrants come to Whitewater, it's going to be pretty tough because Walworth County also has housing problems. I know that because I live in Wisconsin. I know what's happening in my state. There are housing issues in Dane County, in Walworth County, in many counties, in many areas. Less populated counties, more populated counties, there are housing challenges. There are employers who would like to expand their business, who would like to build a new factory, but they can't because there's not enough housing in the area. And I'm just talking, in general terms. I'm not mentioning any specific Wisconsin community. If you want to invest and create 50 new jobs and you need 50 new workers, but there isn't enough housing available in the area to house 50 new workers. And that's the kind of problem that many communities in Wisconsin they're facing, including Walworth County. And so this situation is just getting worse. And as more migrants move into Wisconsin, the housing problem it's just gonna get worse. Okay? How bad is it gonna get? I don't know. How high will the rent go? I don't know. How high will the home prices go? I don't know. Will there be encampments? Will we see illegal immigrants living in broken down RVs? Will we see more homeless encampment? I don't know, but it's just not gonna. It's gonna get worse. That's what I can tell you. Billy Wiggins writes, forced us to stay home and told renters they don't have to pay rent. Yeah, I remember the moratorium during COVID. There were landlords who did not get paid rent for months and months, and those landlords had to pay mortgage. If you're a landlord with, let's say, a building with 4 units, and you're paying mortgage to the bank for that property, but you're not getting rent from any of your tenants, I mean, what kind of a situation are you going to be in? And so I know that was a huge issue, and that was created by the liberals. That was created by the liberals. They brought our economy to a halt, slowed everything down. People lost money, people lost savings, people lost business opportunities, people lost jobs. And now they're making things worse by letting illegal immigrants in, and many illegal immigrants are bringing measles and other infectious diseases. And the illegal immigrants and the liberals are advocating for work permits for the illegal immigrants. Think about that. Think about that. And liberals are advocating for pathway to citizenship for illegal immigrants. Like I said, Chuck Schumer in 2022 said that. So we know what the Democrats want to do. They want to create new voters. They want to grant pathway to citizenship for illegal immigrants so that they can create new voters. The Democrats want to create new voters, and they want to consolidate their power. They want to be in power forever. That's what they want. That's what the Democrats are looking to do. That's the plan. And that's why in New York City, the liberals in the city council, they are working hard to grant voting rights to non-citizens. Why is this even an issue? They want non-citizens to be able to vote in city elections. Why? Why is that a priority? The non-citizens who are here legally, let's say green card holders, they already have a pathway to citizenship. The green card holders, if they follow the law, if they do everything right, they will have a pathway to citizenship because they are legal immigrants. So why are the liberal politicians in New York pushing to grant voting rights for city elections to non-citizens? Well, let those non-citizens go through the process, the legal ones. Let those legal non-citizens go through the process, and if they can become citizens, then they'll have the right to vote. But then there's another issue. It's not just about legal non-citizens. I saw reports that if a non-citizen has work authorization in New York City, this is what the liberals want to do. This is the law that they are looking to enforce. Obviously, a court has ruled that it's unconstitutional, and the liberals are trying to appeal that ruling, and they are looking for ways to enforce that law if they can overcome the legal challenges. So if the liberals succeed in enforcing that law, this is what it's going to do. A non-citizen with a work permit and somebody who's been in the city for 30 days, at least 30 days as a resident, would be able to vote in city elections. So we're not just talking about legal non-citizens such as green card holders. Anyone with a work authorization, and we know that New York liberals are pushing for work authorizations for the illegal immigrants, for the migrants. And so I think what they are trying to do is also, through this new law, the liberals are trying to grant voting rights for city elections to the illegal immigrants, to the migrants. And that's unbelievable. And that's why I said that the liberals, they are trying to disenfranchise American voters. Because if I go and vote, and then an illegal immigrant, just as an example, if the liberals succeed in doing this in New York City, if an American citizen votes in a city election, casts a ballot, but then a migrant with a work authorization and voting rights also casts a ballot, then what happens? Then the American voter is basically disenfranchised. Because voting is for the American people. Voting is for US citizens. So if the liberals grant citizenship to the illegal immigrants, as Chuck Schumer proposed, or New York liberals, they find a way to give voting rights to non-citizens, including these people, the migrants with work permits, if they get voting rights for city elections, that's going to be disenfranchising American voters. My friends, it's unbelievable what's happening in our country. If you just think about all the different issues, add all of those up, you can see that the liberals, they are adamant about taking away our freedoms. That's what they are trying to do. They are trying to diminish our freedoms. They are trying to empower those who entered the United States by breaking our immigration laws. That's what the liberals are trying to do. They are trying to give more power to the illegal immigrants by taking power away from the American citizens. Let me look at the chat window here. Pamela writes, I think we have measles outbreak here in California. That's very concerning. I'm going to look that up. Sorry to hear that. And I wonder if it's connected with the influx of the migrants. Maya Sisters, Maya Sisters writes, Susan, thanks for the reminder. All other immigrants had to be vaccinated before entering the country. Um, let's see, Terry Braid is writing about mortgage, insurance, taxes, and whatever utilities in your name that the tenants likely stop paying. Yep. Landlord tenant issues, what the liberals did, how they implemented that moratorium, so tenants didn't pay rent and landlords were in a tough spot. So it was very sad. Lots of things went wrong during the COVID outbreak. It's just unbelievable. Billy Wiggins writes, New York is a blue state already. Why do they need their? I don't know. I don't know. Great, good question, Billy. I don't know. I think the liberals understand that a lot of Democrats are not going to vote for Democrats anymore after seeing the border crisis and all the other problems. So maybe the liberals are just trying to create new blue voters. Pamela writes, not to change the subject, but what happened with the Francis Scott Key Bridge? Yeah, that's something that I actually have on my list that I was going to talk about, and somehow I didn't get to it. So, um, you know, it's just tragic what happened. I've talked about it before. The Francis Scott Key Bridge. Um, and I asked the question: how does a ship, a container ship, how does a ship collide with a bridge? That's the question that we need the answers to. How did that happen? I'm just going to keep asking it. Every time I think about it, it's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. How did that happen? I mean, you've got a big bridge and there's water. It's a busy port. Ships are coming in and out. And how does a ship, how does a ship collide with a bridge? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Anyway, so after that happened, um, after that happened, people in different states are now worried about other bridges. There are bridges in every state. Um, Whether you have a port or not, you may have a lake. There may be other bridges. Here in Wisconsin, we have different bridges. And so people are now thinking about bridges and how safe are the different bridges in our cities and villages and towns and states. I think this is a new concern that people have. Something new has entered people's minds. Think about bridges. The bridge that we drive on every day, is it safe? Is it structurally uh, deficient? Is it structurally sound? That's a new concern that people have. And I know that some folks are talking about the bridges that we have here in Wisconsin and, trying to determine, which bridge needs maintenance, needs repairs, needs upgrades, and which bridge is doing fine. So there's this new concern that people have. But at the same time, we have to go back to the question, how did that container ship even collide with the bridge? I mean, are we ever going to get answer to that question? How did that happen? How is it possible? How can that be? I just don't know. And are we going to get the answers? I hope we do, but I don't know if we will or won't. I just don't know. We want transparency. We want accountability. We want information from our government. We want government to be transparent. So for the sake of transparency, we have to know. If we expect transparency, then we expect to know what exactly happened, what went wrong. We want a detailed report. But are we going to see a detailed report? Are we going to know the truth? I don't know. I don't know. But people have lots of questions. People have lots of questions. What exactly happened? How did that ship collide with the bridge? Lots of questions, my friends. I think we have to be patient. It's a very complex issue. We have to be patient. And it's heartbreaking to learn about the lives lost in that incident. Pray for the families. Pray for the families of those who died. Let's look at the chat window here. Um, yeah, so Laura writes, truly unbelievable. Laura, I think you may be referring to the immigration issue, not about the bridge issue, right? Anyway, thank you for participating. It's good to see the participation here. You know, it's like I was doing a little bit of research on, are there some is there some information out there that would tell me how many bridges there are in the U.S., how many are safe, how many need repairs. There must be some data out there about what bridges are structurally deficient, what bridges are sound, and what bridges need what kind of repairs. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of more research on that. Susan writes about Mayor Pete. Mayor Pete doesn't do his job. Mayor Pete is the Secretary of Transportation. And that's all you need to know about the Biden administration. Mayor Pete in charge of the Transportation Department. Alejandro Mayorkas in charge of Homeland Security. I mean, the Biden administration, that cabinet is so incompetent. It's so incompetent, those cabinet members. Alejandro Mayorkas, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, and, there are other names. We need a new administration. We need Donald Trump back in the White House, and we need a brand new cabinet with competent people, with highly skilled, highly trained, highly knowledgeable, and freedom-loving people. We need freedom-loving Americans in a presidential cabinet. That's what we need. And there is an opportunity. We may get that. But we have to vote for Donald Trump. The election's coming, November 2024. My friends, let me tell you some other thing. I made a video that I published earlier today. It was short, less than 6-minute long video. There's early voting going on in Wisconsin now. And the official election date is April 2nd, which is Tuesday, next week. And so I plan to vote early. So tomorrow I'm going to vote, and I'm going to vote tomorrow. That's on my to-do list tomorrow, because I want to make my voice heard, obviously, and you do that by voting. You go, you vote for the candidates that you would like to see elected. So anyway, I'm going to vote tomorrow here in Madison, Wisconsin. That's my plan. And, on Tuesday, April 2nd, at the end of the evening, at night, the results will hopefully be available for the different races. There are people running in different communities for county board, for city council, and, different positions. Anyway, so the spring election, April 2nd in Wisconsin. So I'm going to vote tomorrow. Hopefully the weather is nice. As I'm doing this live stream, I could hear, not anymore, but I could hear that it's raining outside. Okay. Actually, the rain has stopped, but it was raining just a short while ago. My friend Terry is writing, data is from the Federal Highway Administration National Bridge Inventory, downloaded on July 3rd, 2023. Okay, so Terry, thank you. I'm gonna look up that information. I appreciate you sharing it, and I'm hoping that the others who are watching the chat window, they can also use the information that you provided to look up data about bridges. Let's see. Uh, okay, so I think what we can do is, obviously, the big question right now that's on people's minds is, who's going to be the VP pick for Donald Trump? Who is Donald Trump going to pick for the position of vice president? That's obviously a question. But then I think we can also, try to come up with who we would like to see as cabinet members for the different positions, right? Okay. I mean, that would be a nice, way to spend a little bit of time. Just make a list of all the different cabinet positions, and write the name of your preferred person. Who would you like to see uh, uh, for the different cabinet positions? So Terry writes, when will he announce VP? Terry, I don't know. But I do know one thing. Whenever Trump announces his VP pick, it's going to be a very important day. And, I don't know if Trump is going to announce his VP pick with a social media post on Truth Social, or is he going to appear on TV for an interview and reveal the name, or is he going to appear at a rally with the person that he's going to pick for VP, and do a big event? Is it going to be an event at Mar-a-Lago? Is it going to be an event somewhere else? I mean, wouldn't it be nice? So Terry, here's an idea, okay? Wouldn't it be nice if Trump goes to Mount Rushmore and he announces, he does a big event there, and he announces that he's picking Kristi Noem for VP? How would that be? How would that be? Would you like that? I think that's going to be great if that happens. All right. But then again, I don't know who's going to be the VP pick. But it would be pretty cool if Trump did a big event at Mount Rushmore and announced that he's picking Kristi Noem. That'd be great. But I don't know who he's going to pick. He may pick Ron DeSantis. I mean, think about it. Ron DeSantis, in the presidential race, Ron DeSantis was significantly behind Trump, but he was still like the second most popular. He was the second most popular, I think, after Trump. I mean, there was a huge gap between him and Trump in the polls and the numbers, but still he was the second person. So if he picks Ron DeSantis, then he's basically, Trump will basically consolidate his support, and then he's also going to get all those votes from all those people who supported Ron DeSantis. And so that would give him probably the most support that he could get from the Republicans. So, he may pick Ron DeSantis. I don't know. And then if Trump picks Tulsi Gabbard, who used to be a Democrat, but then she walked away from the Democratic Party, that would also be very interesting. Would that help bring some of the moderate Democrats to his side? Would that help with the swing voters? Possibly. But is that going to be a risky strategy politically? Are the Democrats going to say, hey, why did you pick a former Democrat? Why didn't you pick a solid Republican? So anyway, there are pros and cons. We can have all kinds of discussion, but then again, I think it's important to understand that it's not just the VP. Obviously, VP is the first important pick that he has to announce before the election. But if he wins the election, if Trump wins the presidency, he needs a solid cabinet. He needs a cabinet full of freedom-loving Americans, freedom-loving, highly skilled, highly knowledgeable, highly trained, who can get the job done. Homeland security, transportation, health and human services, housing and urban development, energy, commerce, whatever the department, education. He needs freedom-loving Americans who are going to do a great job. Let's see. Susan writes, VP is very important as VP will be president. Right, exactly. So the VP is next in line for presidency, right? And so it's the most important, decision that a presidential candidate makes is to select the VP. All right, let's see. Pamela writes, Trump is strong and we need him back. Trump is very strong. He's very, very strong. So anyone who brings up the topic of Trump's age, I just say, hey, age doesn't matter. I mean, in this case, as people say, age is just a number. I mean, it's really a number, okay? When you look at Trump, he is stronger than a lot of people in their 50s and 60s. I mean, think about what he's going through. He's campaigning, and he has all these court cases and legal challenges that the liberals are throwing at him. So he's dealing with all the court cases, and he's still staying strong and energetic and cheerful, and he's connecting with the voters. He's doing, he's visiting different states. He's meeting with voters. He's staying active on social media. He's thinking about what he's going to do when he becomes the president, how he's going to tackle all the challenges. So that's somebody who's very strong. And I know people in their 50s and 60s who can never keep up with, that level of energy. So really, it's really not about the age. It's about the strength. It's about the willpower. It's about the mental sharpness. So Trump really, I mean, we need him back, absolutely. Susan writes, I voted for Tulsi as my representative. Obviously, a lot of people like Tulsi, definitely. She walked away from the Democratic Party. She clearly stated the reasons for doing so. And, people like her. She's great. And as Terry Brait writes, a lot of Democrats don't like Tulsi. That's because Tulsi walked away from the Democratic Party because Tulsi highlighted the problems with the Democratic Party. So a lot of Democrats don't like Tulsi. Pamela writes, DeSantis needs to stay as governor of Florida. Yes, he's a great governor. And so if Trump doesn't pick him for VP, he's going to continue being the governor. I don't know. He got reelected in 2022. So, he's in office for four years, starting 2023, right? Because he won the 2022 November election. So yeah, he's doing great as the governor of Florida. And Terry writes, I agree with Pamela. So yeah, obviously. So my friends, thank you. It's been a great conversation. So far, we've discussed lots of different things. Once again, before I conclude this live stream, I'm just going to say, let's pray for the family of New York PD officer Jonathan Diller. Jonathan Diller, a brave officer. He was killed, a precious life lost, a brave officer, now deceased. Let's pray for the family of Jonathan Diller. Let's pray for the men and women of New York Police Department. Let's pray for the men and women of law enforcement all over the country. And let's also pray for all those people who have been affected by the bridge collapse in Maryland. We know that there are reports of lives lost in that bridge collapse, and let's pray for the family members of all those who died in that bridge collapse. Let's pray for people, okay? And let's pray for Donald Trump. Let's pray for the freedom-loving Americans of our country. And, let's hope and pray that we get to elect Donald Trump for president. November 2024 is coming soon, my friends. So let's keep our hopes up. Let's be energetic. Let's be enthusiastic. And let's hope and pray, okay? Let's hope and pray for a better future. Thank you, everyone, for joining my live stream. I really appreciate it. Everyone who has been here, who participated in the live chat window, thank you so very much. I appreciate each and every one of you. So I'll be back again with more videos, more live stream. Please stay connected to my channel and help me spread my message. Help me spread my word. Tell your friends, your family members, and your neighbors about my channel. Let's grow this community. Thank you, my friends. Let's continue to pray. Okay? Thank you and have a wonderful night, and I'll be back again soon. Thanks so much.